you know that you are 37 times, can you hear me in the back first? Okay, did you know that you are 37 times more likely to be sexually assaulted by your psychiatrist than you are the general public? That over 6,000 people a month search Amazon books for the phrase "when therapists abuse clients," and another 6,000 search for the phrase "can adults be victims?" For those of you who don't know me, my name is Nordhues, and I'm going to talk to you today about a type of abuse we don't hear so much about, and that is the abuse of adult women by mental health professionals. In 2014, I was groomed and sexually assaulted by a therapist right here in Bartlesville. He was also a psychiatrist and an elder at my church. I tell my story in my memoir, Preyed Upon: Breaking Free from Therapist Abuse. We talk a lot about childhood sexual abuse, but not so much about adult sexual abuse, leaving many adult victims to suffer in silence. I can tell you the consequences of this kind of abuse are devastating. In a study by Pope and Vetter of 1,000 women who were involved with their therapists, 11% of those women required hospitalization afterwards, 14% attempted suicide, and 1% committed suicide. I know when it happened to me, I didn't think I could survive it. So why don't we hear more about this kind of abuse? First of all, we need help escaping our abusers, and we cannot reach out for that help if we're going to be judged. So awareness of this issue is a must. Adult victims face so many risks when they come forward. We risk losing everything: marriages, families, our reputations, our churches. How are our spouses supposed to understand what just happened when we can hardly understand it ourselves? A respected church leader and doctor, or a woman in counseling? Which one would you blame? It's a sad reality that most of us choose to blame victims, and it's because we want to keep our sense of safety. You know, it's a frightening reality that evil sociopaths are lurking around in our midst, so we blame the victims. But when we do this, whether it's to keep our sense of safety or because the abusers seem like good people, we are turning a blind eye. We are giving the abusers a pass to continue to hurt others. Adult victims know the judgment that awaits. Two grown adults, please, isn't that a mutual affair? The answer to that is a resounding no. And this point is so important that I just want to give you 6 reasons why a patient cannot be sexually involved with her therapist and that be considered a consensual mutual affair. First of all, consent cannot be given in a relationship with an imbalance of power. Why? Because you cannot say yes if you cannot also say no. Aren't we all taught as young children not to say no to people in positions of authority? A famous psychologist named Milgram coins this term authority bias, and that is our tendency as humans to blindly follow people in positions who we perceive are in positions of authority. On top of that, early sexual abuse trains us as children that there is something defective in us, that we lose the right to say no. 3, a woman seeking help in counseling is in a vulnerable position. Her defenses are down. If the therapist is a religious leader, as mine was, that is an added complication. The therapist might say, you know, this relationship is blessed by God, this is blessed, this is unique, it's special. So saying no to the abuser can feel like saying no to God himself. Once the woman is attached to her therapist and receiving much needed support, she's not going to want to lose that support, and that is a powerful motivator for her to comply. Finally, predators seek out voids in their victims and attempt to fill them. So the woman becomes attached not to the person, but to the deep-seated needs that are being met, to the drug of choice that he is offering. Back to why adult victims tend to not come forward. Look, this just If we come forward, who can help us? Therapist abuse is only illegal in a little over half of our states. Oklahoma is not one of them. I was told that I could pursue criminal charges, but it would be brutal for me and for my family, and the abuser would likely walk. How can we turn on our abusers after all they did for us? They play on our pity, on our empathy, make us feel sorry for them. I got free gifts, longer sessions, free sessions. So when I realized my therapist was hurting me, I felt too guilty to turn him in. Shame is the great silencer. We may recognize that we were harmed, but we are far too embarrassed and ashamed about what we participated in, even if we didn't want it. Why didn't we leave? Why didn't we leave sooner? We're too embarrassed, so we stay quiet. Finally, victims blame themselves, especially when we've been taken advantage of as children. We think that the abuse happens to us because there's something defective in us. We somehow caused it. So what can we do to make it easier for adult victims to come forward, to report, and to seek help? First, we need to stop blaming victims. And the antidote to victim blaming is empathy. According to Brene Brown, empathy is connecting with people so we know we're not alone when we're in struggle. And we don't have to relate to the experience that they're going through. We just need to be able to relate to the emotions they're feeling. So how can we do this? First of all, we judge what we don't understand. So we need to educate ourselves about this kind of abuse, which is exactly what you guys are doing today by being here. Please don't ever rely on the victims to educate you on this kind of abuse. The single most shaming thing you can ask an adult victim is, so why didn't you just leave? Trust me, we're struggling to find that answer ourselves, and we hate ourselves for not finding a suitable answer. So do educate yourselves, but just don't place that burden on the victim. Second, be supportive. Sit with victims in their pain. You don't have to relate to the abuse that they experience to relate to the emotions that they are feeling. And when you think they're ready, point them towards professional help. We were harmed in relationship, and we will find healing in relationship. Third, be open to seeing things through the victim's lens. Victims rattle us. They threaten us. They threaten our sense that the world is a good and safe place, where good things happen to good people and bad things happen to bad people. If evil can befall good people, then we're all vulnerable, and we hate vulnerable. We like control. So we need to challenge ourselves and entertain the frightening reality that it could have very well been us on the TV set or us in the crime section of the newspaper. Essentially, we need to put ourselves in the victim's shoes. Only then can we put our focus where it needs to be, on stopping the perpetrators. In closing, I just want to say a few things. Serial predators rely on their loyal fan base. Without it, their schemes would not work. They count on two things: that if any information leaks out, that their fans will go to bat for them, and that victims will be vilified. It is a terrifying prospect, I realize, that a sweet, grandfatherly Christian elder and doctor can also be an evil sociopath. But we have to entertain that reality. It's the only way we can experience empathy. It is the only way we can begin to be there for victims, and it is the only way that we can hold abusers accountable. Sorry, I get emotional, but to those of you that will read my book or will look at my website and who will educate yourselves on this kind of abuse, we just all say thank you. Thank you for walking a mile in our shoes.